Hello beautiful makeup lovers, thanks for tuning in and a very warm welcome to my channel. Today I want to do a video that I have been thinking about since some time now, and I want to compare Natasha Denona and McGrath eyeshadow palettes to each other. It's just going to be about eyeshadow palettes and not about any other item. And I'm gonna pick, how many categories did I pick? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like 5.5 categories. I want to compete them against each other, and I'm gonna tell you which one in my eyes wins each category, and in the end I'm gonna tell you which is the brand that I think is the one for me, you know, the one I would go for if I could only have one of those. We're gonna be looking at each category, and also I'm gonna weight the different categories in the end, because not every category is for me equally important. But I just thought I'm gonna put it in categories because maybe some of those categories that are for you more important are not for me, or the other way around, so you would just have it a bit, you know, structured. I like things structured, and I say let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want to compare is how much do you get for your money. So just the basic quantity per for the price, you know. And I have to say here Natasha Denona wins like by far, because I know Natasha Denona is expensive, but she is gonna load you up with product. Like those 15-pan eyeshadow palettes, you know, that look like this. They have 37.5 grams in them, which is, I don't know how much this is in ounces. I'm gonna put it up here. I'm just gonna refer to grams now. I'm sorry about that, but I'm not really used to calculate with ounces. Anyway, so that makes, when one of those 15-pan eyeshadow palettes costs $129 US, so that makes just $3.40 for 1 gram of eyeshadow, which is actually not that expensive. And it means on average, with each eyeshadow being 2.5 grams, for each eyeshadow in one of those 15-pan palettes, you're going to pay $8 US, which is not that crazy, honestly. And yeah, that's, I mean, like, it's not cheap either, but it's also not crazy in my opinion. And I think it's really nice that you get a lot of product for your money, in regard regarding that her brand is also mainly focused to makeup artists, so they really get a lot of product for the money they spend on it. And with McGrath, you getting in total, like, I don't know, like I took as a reference the Subversive palette. I don't know if it maybe differs from palette to palette or something, because here you have some shadows which have 1.2 grams or 0.042 ounces, and some shadows which have 1.5 grams or 0.053 ounces. So I don't know, like some of them are more than others. So but in total that leaves you, at least in the Subversive palette, with 13.2 grams in the whole palette, which means you pay, with a price of $125 US. On the big mothership palettes, you pay $9 US per gram, which means that on average per eyeshadow you spend $12 US. So it's much more expensive than Natasha Denona, so Natasha Denona gotta win this category. Let's move on to packaging. The packaging I'm going to split up in 2 categories. I have 2 examples here. So let's first speak about the cartoons these things come in. So you see here, this is a McGrath packaging. This is one of Natasha Denona. These are just the bare things, you know. You know, the bare cartoons, the actual palettes come in. And here I have to say, in this packaging category, definitely McGrath wins, because she has just the most beautiful designed packagings around her palettes, while Natasha Denona goes pretty standard. Like most of the 15-pan palettes, they come in this kind of cartoon, and I don't know, it's nothing special, it's not bad either, it's just nothing special. While this looks really special, really nice, with this little string here, you know, you can close it with. It's really beautiful. I love all of the palettes, how they are designed. Also the smaller ones look way better from McGrath than the small Natasha Denona ones. And yeah, so this category definitely won by Pat McGrath. So let's speak about the actual palettes, packaging. I like Pat McGrath, obviously, but I hate the actual palettes. I don't like them. I feel they're like you know, this hard plastic packaging. Never a fan of this. I know they make it feel hefty and luxurious by making the edges really sharp and putting weight into it so it feels more hefty. And yeah, they put like this metal in the back and these little logos here, but I overall don't really enjoy the aesthetic of the palette itself. And then also, like, what is this? Why this doesn't open all the way? Like, why not? And then this super useless mirror here, which you cannot really use because the palette just opens this. And then it's also like shaped like a diamond, as you can see, which makes the surface you can see yourself even smaller. And I just don't enjoy that. I think the Pat McGrath packaging from the palette itself has a lot of room for improvement. Natasha Denona has like this kind of, at least like I only have the lila palette and the gold palette from her, from the BECCA ones. And she has this kind of like texture, like fabric, which is in the end of course also plastic, but it just feels a bit nicer, you know, just the feel of it is nicer, it's a good thing. And I just think like the outside, I like it much more. And also the inside, you can open it the whole way, you know, like innovation there. I don't like the plastic flap, but you can take it out if you want to, so it doesn't bother me too much. You do have a mirror that you can actually use, and I really like this kind of squishy material that she has, that her pens are sitting in. I just like the feel of the palette from Natasha Denona much better than from Pat McGrath, so all over here Natasha Denona wins, so the packaging in general is kind of a tie. So now let's get to the categories that are also a bit interesting. At least to me. So we have here the matte formula. So the matte formula on both. So I love the Natasha Denona matte formula. I think the Natasha Denona matte formula is one of my favorite formulas. The mattes in here, they blend like a dream, you know, it's really so effortless. I feel like everybody could work with those mattes, honestly. At least it's my opinion. I find them so easy to work. It's really just putting them on, a couple of swipes, and you have your blend. It's nice. I love that. It's really no struggle at all. They have a great pigment, absolutely beautiful. And why the Pat McGrath mattes are definitely, I'm having here as a representation the Subversive palette. Here you have two mattes. I don't think anybody buys Pat McGrath for the matte shadows. I mean, Pat McGrath always has like kind of the same mattes, like always a black more or less, or okay, in the Bronze Seduction they had this really dark aubergine shade, and then they have like a brown, but never really exciting colors either. Like I don't see Pat McGrath as a brand who releases like a neon green matte shadow either, but like, you know, a muted blue would be nice maybe, or a very dark green, for example. That would be pretty. And the mattes are also great quality, especially the blacks are really good quality, but I still feel like I'm not getting like excited thinking about the Pat McGrath mattes. They are good, but nothing special to me. So yeah, this category is definitely won by Natasha Denona. So let's move on to the shimmers. And with shimmers, I really mean like all the different shimmers, like metallics, duochromes, satins, whatever you have there. And in this category, I have to say, Natasha, unfortunately, you don't stand any chance. I mean, you have your duochromes, for example, in this row here with the lila palette as an example. You have your shimmers, which are nicely foiled and everything. But to be honest, when it comes to shimmers, I think Pat McGrath really knows what she's doing. Like, the shimmers of Pat McGrath are just everything. They just super lovely. I love them so much. I have here actually still swatched of the blue of the Subversive palette here, and it doesn't even pick up that great on camera, I think, but it's just such a beautiful blue. I have it here today, like on the outer part, and I love it. I love it. And I have my hands full of it now, but whatever. And I just love the shimmers of Pat McGrath so much, and the ones from Natasha Denona, they are good. They are not bad. They are foiled. They are pretty. They have nice shifts, but they are just most of the time not that special at Pat McGrath. Just the Pat McGrath shimmers, they have just this little bit of more punch to them. They're always a little bit more sparkly. They always have a little bit more glitter. They always have like an extra shift in them. While the Natasha Denona ones are good quality but standard duochromes, for instance. I did compare in the video where I was speaking about some Natasha Denona palettes. I was comparing the lime chrome shade in the gold palette from Natasha Denona. I compared with the color Via Fire Opal in the Bronze Seduction palette from Pat McGrath, and you could see there like the same idea of a shade, but the shade from Pat McGrath had just a little bit more sparkle, and next to the acid green shift, even like a little pink shift as well. So it's just a little bit more there, and yeah, Pat McGrath wins this category, at least for me, at least according to me. I don't know how you said it, whatever. Let's go on to the next category, which is more like, it's not really a category, but it's definitely like, how do I use those, like how do I use Natasha Denona and how do I use Pat McGrath in the day-to-day life? So when do I pull out which brand, let's say? And I have to say, I'm gonna do a little analogy here because I think it's really good comparable with clothing. To me, Pat McGrath is like this, you know, like those dresses, or I don't know, like those kind of pieces of clothing that you would pull out if you know, like you want to go out, you want to look special, you want to look extravagant a little bit, and you want to be a bit more out there and more punch all over. And this right there is Pat McGrath. Like I pull out Pat McGrath whenever I want to have this little extra kick because of the really beautiful shimmers. And everything I do with Pat McGrath is most of the time really smoky, really vampy, maybe sexy, I don't know. But yeah, I just really enjoy to pull out Pat McGrath when I have this kind of like thing going where I really want to go out and, you know, have date night or going out with my friends, or I have a special occasion, or I just really want to play around with makeup and want to do a really vampy look. Then I pull out Pat McGrath. While Natasha Denona is for me more those kind of pieces of clothing that I would pull out that are maybe they are a bit basic in the whole design, but they are just like on top, you know, they have really nice fabric, everything sits, you know, there's nothing that looks like, that doesn't sit right, that it's a bit twisted or something. You don't have to worry you're gonna look great, you're not gonna be cold, you're not gonna be warm. It's just really good quality, but still the whole design behind it a little bit more basic, a bit more day-to-day friendly, let's say, like something you would pull out if you go to a business meeting or something like this, and you just want to make sure that you feel comfortable with the eyeshadow you're wearing and it's gonna be great. Like maybe it looks, when you do an eye look with this, a bit standard from a bit further away, but if you go closer you can see this is actual really good quality, which is a great eyeshadow palette to have as well. And even though I did beautiful looks with this one, which were also vampy, for example, with this one, but I still feel like that every time I feel like I want to go vampy, I'm definitely gonna go with Pat McGrath. Why this is definitely not the palette that I will pull out if I have an important business meeting or something like this. So yeah, that's kind of the analogy I have there. And yeah, all over, I also wanted to make like a little category. I don't know if you can call it category, but it's something like the all over feeling I have about the brand. Like I think they are in the same price range, but still very different. This is really this like editorial, Pat McGrath is really this editorial, high shine company, just like very focused on, you know, this very edgy design and edgy palettes, I feel. While Natasha Denona is definitely targeted way more towards makeup artists, and also therefore a little bit more maybe to the usual consumer who is not that comfortable wearing very editorial looks maybe. And in general I feel, so the thing is why I'm bringing up this category is that with Pat McGrath I realized a little bit, it's a little bit like a cult, you know. I realized there's this kind of ultra fans from Pat McGrath which are out there, and they kind of like just feel it if someone somewhere shares some criticism on Pat McGrath, and they're gonna come after you and they're gonna find you and they're gonna give all the hate to you that you don't like Pat McGrath. And I know that's like a bit weird, but I'm not like this people who are like, you're with us or you're against us. I really am not sharing this mentality at all. And I feel like they have a little bit of this ultra corner of fans that will go around and bully everybody who doesn't like Pat McGrath. And actually, when the first time I posted a Pat McGrath look on Instagram, usually I get maybe like 1 or 2 DMs after I post something, like asking me something that I didn't want to ask in the comments or something. And there I got like 10 DMs saying like, hey, welcome to Team Pat. And I was like, did I just join a cult? Or I don't know, it was a bit weird, to be entirely honest. And I just don't know, I don't think it's something that the brand wants either, but it's something that I'm sometimes like, I don't know, you know. Like, so it almost makes me feel like people are gonna think I'm like this when I kind of recommend them Pat McGrath. I don't know, it's just like an icky feel to it, but that's just something, it's not really like gonna bias or impact my result. I just something that I wanted to mention a little bit, and maybe also want to know from you, do you feel the same or am I just crazy? Like, I really feel that's something unique to Pat McGrath a little bit, that there's a little bit of this cult where you have this really ultra fan corner that are just a bit too enthusiastic maybe. I don't know, just my opinion, just my feeling. But anyway, I think they both have a great aesthetic for what they're targeting for, and that's great. And all over, I have to say, like, if I could have only one brand, like if somebody says like from tomorrow on you can have only Pat McGrath or you can only have Natasha Denona, I think I would have to go with Pat McGrath, because I love Natasha Denona matte formula and everything, but if it comes down to what I really love in eyeshadow is shimmer eyeshadows, it is duochromes, and here definitely Pat McGrath won for me. And I don't really care too much about, for example, how much product I get per euro or something, or per US dollar, because I have a big eyeshadow collection and I will never ever hit pan on any of those, because you still have a lot of product in there, and I'm not a makeup artist, sorry. And so I don't really have to look out for this kind of criteria. The packaging was a tie anyway, and then it was only left to the mattes or the shimmers. Definitely I'm team shimmer, if you want to speak again in team terms. That's why I would pick Pat McGrath, and definitely because like the makeup I really enjoy doing is this kind of makeup that when I pull out the palette I'm like, I'm gonna play now, you know, I'm gonna do something vampy, I'm gonna do something cool, maybe editorial if I can. You know, that's the kind of vibe that I like more, rather than a really pretty and really great quality and really easygoing day-to-day look. But, which is also important to have, but this is definitely the one that would win my heart, this kind of look. And the shimmers. So there you go. I am definitely, I guess I have to say now, I'm team Pat, which is kind of yeah, conflicting myself here, but I think Natasha Denona definitely has her standing. I love also the palettes I have from her, but I just love Pat a little bit more for the reasons I stated. So that's about it. These were all the things that I wanted to share with you. Let me know definitely in the comments below, what is your thought on those? Which criteria would you maybe add to this? And which brand would have won which category for you? And which one do you prefer? I'm really interested in this, because I feel that's something that, yeah, there's 2 companies that people are like, you know, would compare to each other. And also, I'm very, very sure I didn't come up with this idea. I never watched a video on this, to be entirely honest, but I'm sure if you search on YouTube, you will find videos like this. So, you know, I'm probably not the creator of this idea, 100%, but I did not watch any other video doing this. It was just something that I wanted to do from myself. So there you go. Yeah, please give this video a thumbs up if you like this kind of videos. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, so we can see each other in the next video. Bye bye!